Good morning, Unity. I'm going to invite you guys to stand as you are able and are willing. You know, sometimes life has a way of reminding us that we were never meant to do it alone, right? Join us. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain. We all have pain. We all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Oh, no, it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have faith that you need to borrow. For no one can feed those of your needs that you won't let your call on me, brother, if you need a hand. Say we all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Lord, it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, sister, when you need a hand. Oh, we all need somebody. Oh, might have a problem that you'll understand, 'cause we all need somebody to lean on. Yeah, there is a love you have to bear that you can't carry. Oh, I want you to know that I'm right up the road. I'll share the load if you just call. All you gotta do is call. If you need a friend, just call. Oh, just call me. I'll be right there. Just call me. Oh, call me. Oh, just call me. Just call me. 'Cause we all need somebody to lean on. Woo! Ain't that right? And as we know, heaven is a choice, right? Come on, y'all. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven, yeah. I'm choosing heaven today. Oh, I said I'm walking the road of heaven. Oh, I'm singing, I'm choosing heaven today. Oh, I'm choosing love. I'm choosing love today. Come on and choose love. I'm choosing love today.
there's a lot of heaven in this room this morning. And speaking of heaven, we'd like to invite our children to come up on the stage with me right up here on the stairs. I think some of them are just checking in, but come on up. Oh my goodness, look at these costumes today. Different ones from last week. This is great. Felicity wants to come up only if she gets the microphone. Is that what I'm seeing? Thank you guys for being here. Welcome, welcome. And I see some more are registering in the lobby now. Welcome. Happy Halloween. How great. We're so glad that you all are here today. And Dad's got the Astros shirt on. He's holding the faith. I love it. Thank you. Come on up, guys. Come on up. It's so good to see you. Do you want to come? Okay. You don't have to, but you're welcome to come sit up here. So I want to ask you something. What's your favorite thing to do? Who wants to tell me what their favorite thing to do is? What did you?
Trick-or-treating.
Trick-or-treating, a favorite thing to do.
I'm eating candy when my mom says not to, and drawing.
Honesty, out of the mouths of babes. And who are your favorite people to hang out with? Who do you like to hang out with? Let's hear from somebody else. Who do you like to hang out with?
With my dad.
With your dad, yeah. And of course, your Unity of Houston Sunday school teachers, we know. So I'm asking you about your favorites because each of us has a heart that's a little bit different. And each of us likes some things but not other things. But if we can listen to our heart and just listen, and that listening to eating candy when mom says no, I'm not sure that's a heart value. But if we can pay attention to what our heart is asking us to do and what feels right and what feels like peaceful and joyful for us, that's going to help us develop what we're called, in the big church today, we're going to talk about values today. Anybody else want to share anything about what's going on for them today or looking forward to? Who's trick-or-treating tonight? Are you going to trick-or-treat tonight? And what do you hope to get? You want to get some candy? What candy do you like? Lollipops. Well, that's a value, I am sure. Let's give our kids some love today, and we're going to let them go on with their teachers and go on to the Sunday school class. Thank you guys for being with us today.
Can we talk about how exciting it is to see our kids in the sanctuary, especially dressed up in their costumes? Speaking of costumes, I am here at Trunk and Treat. We've been out here for quite a while. We got lots of kids dressed up, and just want to give a special shout out, thank you to all of our volunteers who came and decorated their cars and are passing out candy. Thank you for those who donated candy and contributed funds to buy that. Just a special thank you all. It's been an amazing, amazing time, and we're on to the next announcement.
Well, hey there, Unity of Houston. I'm looking forward to being back at my home church. I'm coming to give the talk and lead some music for the Wednesday Satsang on November the 3rd. So come join me. My talk title will be Living in Connection. Are you on God's Wi-Fi? And I'll look at some stories and some truths and some great quotes about being connected with ourselves, with each other, and with the divine. And I'm going to be using dueling quotes between Mark Twain and the Buddha. So that'll be fun too. So join me for that and for some music and for some great going inward. So let's do a little music right now. And I'll see you soon. Life is streaming, all the while you're dreaming of some castles in the air. Does your insisting mean that you are missing all the love that's waiting there? See you soon. You can call me if you...
Good morning, Unity family. We are inviting you to join with us on Friday, November 12th for Metaphysics 3. And this class is a basic toolkit for living. We're going to be opening up our metaphysical toolbox, and in it will be all different practices for you to learn to engage into your life as we go through the weeks to become more fully realized in your divine nature.
We're going to be talking about all kinds of tools, talking about how to align with spiritual law through denials and affirmations, through actions, through the 12 powers. We're going to view those and apply those to our lives. So we hope you'll join Reverend Jean Marie and I for Metaphysics 3. It's going to be 5 Fridays offered November 12th through December 10th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. on Zoom. And you'll want to register on our website.
From wherever you are, we can't wait to see you there.
Do you sing? If not, I bet you know someone who does. And in all cases, I would like your help in reaching out to people who should be singing with the Unity of Houston Choir. You know, people who have a song in their hearts and a desire to serve. It's a wonderful way to be in community. It's fun, it's meaningful, it's life-giving. Can't wait to get back to it. We're going to start rehearsals mid-November, every Monday night starting November 15th at 7 o'clock in Wallet Hall. We'll be rehearsing and performing in masks, but we'll be in the same room and we'll be able to raise our voices together. We're on an active crusade to grow the choir, so please help pass the word.
Thank you, David York. That's a beautiful invitation. I hope that you will spread the word that we're wanting to expand our choir. Welcome to Unity of Houston on this beautiful Sunday morning. Happy Halloween. We're glad you're here. And so I want to take a moment to just give thanks to all of the people who contributed financially to our Campus Renewal 2021 Loving Our Sacred Space project and report to you that all of the big projects were fully funded. So let's give some love and appreciation for all of our donors. And we have a brief video that will give you some of the highlights, so enjoy this.
Can we talk about how exciting it is to see our kids in the sanctuary, especially dressed up in their costumes? Speaking of costumes,
So the work in the bookstore building is pretty much finished. We have some other projects that now that we're funded, we'll be working on those very shortly as well. The pyramid flooring and the restroom remodel over there and a few other things too, our landscaping. Thank you all so much. In addition to the financial contributions that made it possible, there was a lot of sweat equity in there. And really at the top of that list is a staff member who gave so above and beyond the call of duty in being our project manager. I'd just like to welcome to stage with a lot of love, Reverend Shirley Knight.
contributed to making this campus what it is. And we're just looking forward to welcoming new people and new activities. Just so glad you're here. And I want to welcome the volunteers. Some of the volunteers, come on up.
And Alan's
come on
there.
Back. Come on out. Alan's here. Very good. Thank you. Yes. Judith did a lot of painting, and Sandy and Donna was on the floor laying flooring. I think you never realized you would be able to do that or want to do that, but you did. And Margot helped a lot. I got to bring in Myra. She's here every Sunday. almost never see her because she's our media director and she's back in a back room, but she's got tools, she knows how to use them, and she's always willing to help Unity of Houston, so thank you so much. And Alan, such a gift, and he's so involved in Unity in the community. Every food fair, he's out there. He actually wore long pants today to church just for this occasion. And Jen, of course, she's running around behind the scenes, involved in so many things, and just so helpful. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you all. We're open. The bookstore's open. Come see us after the service, please. We have the ofrenda for Dia de los Muertos and the art gallery. We've got the new library we want you to see. And Donna's got her bookstore staff trained. There's new artwork in the chapel, thanks to Reverend Karen and Randall. So please come visit us. And again, thank you so much. And also, if you want to be part of this team, I know you like helping and want to do things. We're going to get started probably January on the pyramid. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Great job, Shirley. It really feels like things are coming back to life. You know, it's been a year and a half that we have, I've been here every Sunday almost, and we've had, been in the office a little bit, but it has felt a little bit like a ghost town, and we can just feel the energy as COVID is subsiding here locally. We can just feel the energy is returning, and we knew this was a great opportunity for us to kind of shine the place up as we fully open and welcome everyone back to Unity of Houston. Thank you so much for your love and support. Next Sunday is a big day in the life of our church. I want to tell you about it. Celebration Sunday, it's the culmination of our wonderful Touchstone series. And there was a little bit of confusion because last year we held the service outdoors in the courtyard. The service will be right here inside the sanctuary. And it is the end of daylight savings time. Don't forget, you get to sleep an extra hour. Otherwise, you're going to get here just in time for the band's rehearsal, which will be fine. But we want you to make sure that you get that extra hour of sleep. So the service is at 11. As it always is, but it's, time change. And then after the service, for those who are here locally, and we just love everyone non-local participating in as many things as you can, but unless you want to buy a plane ticket or drive over, and you're welcome to, we're going to go right out to the courtyard, and Keith Vivens is going to be leading our band in some great live music. I love that. You are invited to bring a picnic lunch and your own lawn chairs and or a picnic blanket. We're having great activities for the kids. It will be a wonderful celebration. We know that the weather is going to be perfect. We're affirming that now, and it's going to be a great celebration. So I hope that you will join us and a chance to see all of the improvements to our campus here. So thank you so much. Next Sunday evening, I have been afforded a wonderful opportunity. I'm going to be opening the Texas Medical Center Orchestra's new season. I've been invited to sing the opening song, and some of you saw the video I got to create with a lot of other singers last year. I was a part of it, I didn't create it, for the UN's COVID fundraiser, which raised $5.5 million, I think, level, something like that. It was an amazing process. And I'm going to be singing that song, I'm Standing With You, by Diane Warren, as the opening for the new concert series, and that's going to be at Hobby Center in Zilka Hall. Yeah, thank you. So for you local folks, 7 p.m. downtown. It'll be great to be out there. We're fully masked, and most people, I'm sure, will be fully back, so it'll be a great opportunity for us to be a part and to hear some live music again. So I think did I get all my announcements in? I hope I did. That was a lot. Thank you. I got a thumbs up from Jen Dickey. We're good. So now I just get to say thank you for joining us. And if you're new, we invite you to fill out the connection card. In the sanctuary, go to the welcome table in the lobby. You can also go online on unityhouston.org, Facebook, write in the comments, and on YouTube in the description. That was a lot of talking. I need to sing a little bit, prepare us for meditation. Thank you, Gary.
Let your light shine through me in places where it's hard to see, where love is dim and hearts and eyes are blind. Oh God, let me shine. Let your light shine through me in places where it's hard, so hard to see, where love is dim and hearts and eyes are blind. Oh God, let me shine, shine. Where love is dim and hearts and eyes are blind. Oh God, let me shine. If you haven't done so already, I invite you to close your eyes and open your heart for this time of our collective spiritual practice, moving into the breath, into the present moment, releasing any thoughts or cares about anything that happened before this very moment, this very breath. Releasing any concern about anything that hasn't happened yet beyond this next breath. We become present, we become available, we surrender, we open. We are here, right now, right now. So I invite you over the next 3 or 4 breaths to just simply settle more deeply into this moment. Adjust the way you are seated, adjust anything that needs to be moved so that you can feel this gentle, focused awareness where the body is strong but relaxed. The breath is full and deep and unhurried. I have arrived. I am here. God is here, and all is well. And in this moment, let us breathe in this deep awareness that beyond all circumstances, beyond all conditions, there is this everlasting love, light, power, life, joy, and peace that is the nature of God, the nature of reality. And so we can surrender our cares and concerns. We can surrender our mind that wants to figure it out. And we can trust that we are a part of an infinitely intelligent system, an infinitely intelligent and loving presence. It is who and what I am. And I am here to both experience this wholeness, this freedom, and I am here to express it into my world. So I invite us all to simply be in the gratitude of this truth. And now I invite us to allow a current condition in the greater world that is causing us sorrow or concern or heartbreak even. And without getting into the hopeless feeling of it, we are in this deeper awareness of God's presence and power, but we can witness what is there. And for our meditation this morning, I'm asking each of us to see beneath the surface condition and to know that the light of God is shining that even in this condition, in this problem, in this tragedy, is an invitation and an opening for transformation and healing. And without knowing the how or the when, we simply trust in the what. God is here, and all is well. And it is by our focused awareness that the energy of creation itself is mobilized, is called for, is enacted. And so we move into our faith. And we build a container of good and transformation around this condition. In our individualized mind, we don't have to have all the answers, but we trust that we are a part of the infinite good, the infinite intelligence, and it moves through our awareness into demonstration. And so we allow and surrender. Breathing deeply. Holding the high watch. Knowing the deep truth. Where love is dim. Where hearts and eyes are blind. Let us shine. And so we open not only to our own experience of faith, of transformation, of miraculous new life and new ways of being, but we become the doorway for this transformational energy to enter planet Earth. And in this moment, our collective intention for healing is powerful. Is powerful. And so I am grateful. Grateful for this community of faith, grateful for the deep and unchanging truth of God's presence and power. Trusting that beyond my human ability to perceive, I know by faith all is well. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
And so as we gently return now to this time and place, we bring with us that experience of peace and goodness and wholeness and unity with all that is. This is also our fifth week in our Touchstone series, and we have another wonderful affirmation to hold this week, binding our community together. We're going to speak this affirmation, and I'm going to invite you to start with the bottom half of the slide as we speak it together. My heart is wise within me. It knows what is of deepest value, and I stand for good wherever I am. We know that goodness is a part of our very nature. It is our birthright. It is the heritage and the essence of our being, goodness. And so it is good that surrounds us and good that follows us everywhere. And it is our opportunity as well as our privilege to share that good in so many forms. And now you're being invited to share your form as rich resource from your life and from the many gifts that you have received, also to share with the world through this ministry these gifts in a way that will bless countless others. And so as you consider your gift and as you prepare it, I'll just invite you to breathe into your heart and allow the love that is there in the form of gratitude and appreciation and valuing all of the richness of your life, holding that and filling your gift with it, whether it be in physical form here given in our sanctuary or online through our website or text to give, however you do it. Please do it with love. And let us now bless it by calling it by its name. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive, and so it is. Amen.
Broken hearts everywhere, stepping on the love they don't care. Somebody tell me what we gon' do. Even though it's plenty to share, people hungry on the streets, it ain't fair. You don't think about it until it's you. Well, I'm gonna say how I feel. What I wanna say is that love's the only thing that's real. I can't tell you what to do. Just believe in love is the only thing we have that's true. 'Cause love is the answer. It's the answer to the questions in your mind. Say love is the answer. It's the answer. If you're looking, you will find. Yes, it is. The answer is love. Say it again. The answer is love. I'm telling you now. The answer is love. Friends nowhere to be found to help you when you are down. You know you are not the one to blame. You know what's wrong and what's right. Nobody wins in a fight. Still we play the game. Now I'm gonna tell you how I feel. What I wanna say is that love is the only thing that's real. Now I can't tell you what to do. I just believe in love is the only thing we have. It's true. 'Cause love is the answer. It's the answer to the questions in your mind. Yeah. Oh, love is the answer. It's the answer. If you look and you gon' find. Oh, I say that love is the answer. Yeah. It's the only thing that everybody really, really needs. Yeah. Till love is the answer. It's the only thing that makes us truly, truly, truly free. Just look around the whole wide world. So many beautiful things to see. Just take my hand and come along. Come share this love with me. Yeah. 'Cause love is the answer. It's the answer to the questions in your mind. Yeah. I say love is the answer. It's the answer. If you look and you go find. I say that love is the answer. It's the only thing that you and I will ever need. I say love is the answer. It's the only thing that makes us truly, truly free. The answer is love. Yes, it is. The answer is love. Oh, yeah. The answer is love. The answer is love. The answer is love. Oh, the answer is love. The answer is love. The answer is love. The answer is love. The answer is. The answer is love.
Thank you, Siobhan, and singers, including Reverend Jean Marie. I love that. It's so great. So I knew I was wearing the same tie as last week, but I thought I was wearing a different blue suit. I do promise it's a clean shirt. So, and this, the orange and the blue, represents hope. Astros are down 3-1 in the World Series, but I am not giving up hope. And you know, to be a sports fan is to have hope. And the only way we have hope is if we're willing to face disappointment, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to just hold the faith that our Astros are going to pull it out, come from behind, a victory for the ages. And those who are watching online from other cities, I don't know what to say. This is just where we are. So a new minister at First Church, his first job was to go around to all the homes and make personal visits, social calls, to get to know the people. And it was going really well, but then he arrived at the Joneses' door, and it was obvious that someone was home, but no one came when he knocked on the door. He called out, "Mr. and Mrs. Jones, Pastor John." Nothing happened. Finally, he took out his card, and he wrote on the back, Revelation 3:20, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him." And then he put it on the door. That next Sunday, that very same card somehow found it into the offering plate. It was given to the pastor, and he looked on the back, and underneath his quote was another. It said Genesis 3:10. "And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself." So that was all a precursor to say that we're going to do a little metaphysical Bible right now. I know that many people come into Unity with some old religious wounding about, particularly from the fundamentalist upbringing that many of us had. And I'm so grateful that I was able to kind of heal that and come out on the other side where I haven't thrown the baby out with the bathwater, that there is a lot of deep, deep wisdom in these ancient teachings. And I want to share some with you today. I want to talk, this is week 5 of our Touchstone series, and the last 4 weeks. So people are enjoying the Touchstone series. I love that. Thank you. The last 3 weeks, I've been exploring these different lenses or windows onto our individual soul, ways that we can discern who we truly are at our most essential selves, which will then give us information about the way we would choose to spend our days and our hours in the time that we have left here in this human experience. And that's the whole point of this, is that if we can get in touch with our authentic nature, we might just discover our purpose for being and be of service in the world and in our families and in our church in a different way. Today we're talking about values. We talked about desire, interest, gifts and talents, and today we're talking about values. And I think this is probably the most closely linked to the soul. These are the things that matter the most. As a matter of fact, the talk title today is What do you value most? What matters in your life? And I was thinking about values, and this is what the dictionary says. It's a person's principles or standards of behavior. It's one's judgment of what is important in life. The things that we hold in high importance. And I want to tell you that the ego knows nothing about this. We've been sharing that other lens is about the ego awareness and soul awareness. The ego is that part of you that tells you to spend money you don't have, to buy the things you don't need, to impress the people you don't like. It really knows nothing about what is of lasting and meaning and value in your life. But there is a part of you that does know what matters and what is most important. And the way I've come to understand it and feel my way into it is that really what we're seeking to do is bring the qualities of God into our lives, to experience who God is as us. And because God is infinite, each of us has a different mix of the values, of the qualities of the divine. Each of us has a different sense of maybe priority and importance, and that is beautiful. That your unique soul, that if you're listening and you can discover what those core values are, it will help you understand who you are in God. Over 2,000 years ago, a young rabbi, barely 30 years old, had developed a bit of a reputation as being an amazing teacher and a little bit of a fly in the ointment to the powers that be. And healing followed where he went, miraculous transformational experiences. Of course, I'm speaking about Jesus of Nazareth, and there's a lot that's been said about Jesus since those days, and a lot of it is just BS, belief system. It's not actually accurate or historical or true to this amazing being. The piece that I'm about to read, 12 verses from the chapter 5 of Matthew, it's the opening to what we call the Sermon on the Mount. Now, it's not known if this was delivered in one speech, but of all of the source texts, all of the archaeological evidence, this is the best distillation of what this beautiful man actually taught and said. So I'd just like to read the first 12 verses of chapter 5 of Matthew. And let's just imagine for a moment, I've set this scene for us before in another talk, but it just feels right that we are living in an ancient time. We're on the shores of the Sea of Galilee, and there is a rise in the land, and this young rabbi has decided to move to the top of that hill so that his voice will carry to all of us. And when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountainside and he sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach, and he said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Blessed are they who are persecuted for righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you and persecute you and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." Now, there are at least a year of sermons in those 12 verses. But I just want to talk about the tone. Nowhere in there does Jesus say anything about status, spending money you don't have to get things you don't need. Nowhere in there is there any thought of worldly power or dominion or none of that. As a matter of fact, he doesn't even talk about physical healing or attracting your soulmate. Nothing like that. The tone is of humility and compassion. You see, humility is not being less than, humility is being right size. And what Jesus was saying, which I believe is in perfect alignment with what we've been teaching and what we've been learning in this series, is to get out of the head, to set the ego aside in its need for power and significance, and come to a deeper place within us where we know we are here to connect. We are here to hunger and thirst after righteousness, to find the right, to seek the right and best way to live. That's what we're doing here. And the mourning, that's a big one right now. We've experienced so much loss. Blessed are they who mourn, they will be comforted. And I want to focus today, I believe all of these represent deeply spiritual values of compassion and humility and spiritual seeking. But it's really verse 8 that I want to focus on. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And I don't know about you, but I don't feel too pure most of the time. That I still struggle, carbohydrates, and other things. I struggle. I have moments of expanded peace and awareness of oneness in all life, and then moments where, it's the Atlanta Braves, really? No. But I was, in my other spiritual reading this week, I came across this Ernest Holmes affirmation based on verse 8 of chapter 5 of Matthew, and he just says this as an affirmation: I am pure in heart, and I see God everywhere. Repeat after me. I am pure in heart, and I see God everywhere. This is the key to discovering your core value. Purity of heart doesn't mean perfection in human word and speech, but it does mean a deep commitment to being the best you that you are. And when we commit to being our best selves, then what it does is it changes the way we see the world. And instead of seeing a problem on the 5 o'clock news, we see a prayer request. Instead of seeing insurmountable obstacles in our lives, we see opportunities for our growth. We see God's presence everywhere. So this is purity of heart, is to know that this is the access point between our soul, the world, and spiritual power. When we align ourselves with the truth of who we are and fix our vision on that truth, then the world is transformed in ways that are astounding. And maybe not in the timing and the exact ways that our limited human perspective would like to see. You know, I just have this feeling that when Jesus got the download, when he realized, and I want you to know too that Christ was not his last name. Did you know that? That it was the power that he decided or chose him, and he was willing to step into the energy of Christ-deadness. And when you're thinking about the tradition, even the traditional Christian view of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, if you just make Jesus God, you're missing the point. Because don't put him in heaven too soon, as Richard Rohr says. That Jesus is fully human and fully divine. The meeting place of the humanity and the divinity. And that is the way shower. That is the invitation for all of us to step into that. And I can imagine that when Jesus saw the oppression of the Roman Empire upon his people, when he saw the sanctimoniousness of the religious powers that be, and I'm sure that he thought, this is just hopeless. I quit. But instead, he sought the truth, and then he began to teach it. I wonder if he knew that 2,000 years later, we're still seeking to live by those teachings. That the words he spoke may not have overthrown the Roman Empire, at least not for another 400 years, but that something that in the truth he brought would continue to reverberate through time and through humanity. And I think that's the invitation for us today too. That if we're willing to find our pure heart, to live our values, we may not see the world right itself in exactly the way we want, but we trust that we are a part of the evolution of spiritual nature of reality that will continue beyond what we're doing, that we're a part of the wave of awakening into our common humanity and our spiritual destiny. And it happens through each of us, maybe not in such a profound and visible way as Jesus of Nazareth, but we're all called to find that pure heart and deliver our values and to discover them and to experience them. And it happens uniquely, and we've been talking about this the whole series, that each one of us is a unique soul. As Jan Van Zant says, we are a fingerprint of God. That then we get to feel that divine blueprint or fingerprint expressed into body, mind, and spirit and heart. And that your unique nature is the path. Years ago, I was at the Big Sky Retreat, and we had Greg Montana come and do this beautiful work around heart virtue. Days and days of exercises and processes, and we all came away with 2 words. And he says, this is who you came to be. He called them heart virtues, but they are deep values. Mine were compassion and authenticity. And it just feels right that I'm here to express and experience those things from the moment I drew breath to the moment I take my last breath. And there are other values in me. Community is a huge value for me. Spiritual learning, growth, healing, those are values. And the more that I live into those deeper places within me, the more fulfilled I feel, the more at home in my own skin I feel. Like I'm here being me. And as I talked about early in this program, and then that Michael-shaped space begins to show up where I get to give my gift. and be met and affirmed by beautiful people and beautiful souls. Your uniqueness will be revealed. Your heart virtues or deepest values will be revealed to you both through the joy of discovery and through the heartbreak of being human. You know, there's an old saying in the 12 steps, you spot it, I see who you are. You spot it, you got it. Talking about projection, that often when I'm critical of another being, it's because that's some disowned of my own being, my own behavior. And that's true. And, there's a and. Sometimes when we are being really pained by something we see in the world, it's not because it's pointing to an unhealed place within us, it's pointing to our wholeness. And that something that is such of deep value to us is being violated in the world. And it's a call. It's a call for us to find our purity of heart and see God. The path of heartbreak is for all of us. I know we don't like that part of it, but it's not the only path of our discovery, but it is part of it. Ram Dass says this, there is a relationship between what we need to learn and what we do in the world. It's interesting when you stop thinking of spiritual practices as what you do on your meditation cushion, and you realize that your karma is your dharma. In other words, what we do in the world, our dharma, is our spiritual practice. That the shape of your soul, the problems that you're seeing in the world, the things that are calling for your attention are the very ways of your own healing and the ways that you get to deliver part of the healing of humanity. How many of you heard, who said, become the change you wish to see in the world? Gandhi. Yeah, many of you, that's a famous quote by him. I want to tell you a little bit about his story. Did you know, just like Christ was not the last name of Jesus of Nazareth, Mahatma is not Gandhi's first name. It's a title, and it literally means great soul. It's an honor that is given to very few people, both in Hinduism and Buddhism. His name is Mohandas, and he was born in 1869 to a middle caste family. They were tradesmen in their caste, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. His mother was illiterate, but incredibly impactful upon him for two reasons. She was very wise and had incredible common sense, and she was deeply devoted in her spiritual practice and path. And they made huge impressions on him. When his father died, Gandhi moved to England to study law. And there his brilliance was beginning to be recognized, and he was asked to translate the Bhagavad Gita, one of the most sacred texts in Hinduism. And that was then that he truly discovered his great love and passion for Hindu literature and scripture. It was also there that he began to study the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. And it was those two things. It was really the Gita, which talked about purpose and destiny, fulfilling one's purpose, and it was the teachings of Jesus, most notably the Sermon on the Mount and the Beatitudes, that taught Gandhi about the importance of forgiveness and humility. After he finished law school, he went back to India for a time, but then he moved to South Africa, and he practiced law there. There's a sizable Indian population there in South Africa, and one day he was on the train, and a white man saw him sitting in first class and got him thrown off the train. And this kind of treatment, and here he was, a lawyer, dressed well, but he was brown-skinned. And this happened a lot to black and brown-skinned people in South Africa, if you know the history of that nation. And something awoke in Gandhi at that moment, that his heartbreak over that experience might be an opening for change in the world. And he began to study, and he began to teach, and he began to create a system of nonviolent protest, satyagraha, he called it, which literally translates to truth force. And for 21 years that he was in South Africa, he organized, he protested, and in the early 20th century laid much of the groundwork that Nelson Mandela was able later to step into to create change there. He came back to India in 1915 as not a hero, but a respected figure in social change. And the rest, he was no more practicing law. His work was now in social change. And if you know, or if you don't know, that at that time, India, this huge, vast space and population, was owned by colonial Britain. It's just astounding to me that someone could just show up with a flag and say, this is ours, but that's the way it worked. If you have an army and a flag, you could just take what you wanted, I guess. And this was really, the people in India were oppressed by the system. And he began to organize and to continue his satyagraha, his peaceful demonstrations. And then it kind of culminated in 1930 in the Great Salt March. If you don't know this, it's an amazing story. The taxes on the Indian people were really onerous and really burdensome. And the salt tax was only less than 9% of the colonial income or revenues. And the other people who were organizing and protesting thought Gandhi was crazy for wanting to protest the salt tax. It's such a little thing. But Gandhi knew everybody needs salt on their food. And he also knew that the poor were more affected by this than anyone else. So he organized this 240-mile march to the sea. And at the sea, they were to distill and evaporate the water to make their own salt, which was illegal. Evidently, Great Britain owned the ocean too. And I don't know how many people, no one knows how many people joined that march, but tens and tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands. What we do know is that 60,000 people were arrested at the Salt March. 60,000 were arrested by colonial police. It was a huge turning point in the consciousness of India to overthrow colonial rule. Britain was not ready to let go. But something began to change. The people began to wake up. Some of the people began to act out violently. And there was a period where some British citizens were killed by the protesters, and Gandhi said, we're not ready. We're not ready for this yet. So he called off the revolution. And the people were heartbroken. But the British Empire saw this as an opening, and they invited him to London to work out a new deal where maybe the Indians could have more local say-so in government, but the British would still remain in power. And so he was there for 3 months. But you see, Gandhi knew who he was. He knew what he valued, and he wasn't there to make a deal. He was there to tell the truth. They tried to put him up in a fancy hotel. He said, no, I'm going to go live with the poor in the East End. He got an audience with King George, Queen Elizabeth's grandfather, in case you watched The Crown. And he was educated in London. He knew what the English expected and the royals expected in terms of decorum, and he showed up with his simple Indian wrap and sandals and walking stick. And many thought it was a great insult. Winston Churchill was outraged that he did this. One of the, it's an apocryphal story, I don't know if it's true, but it's said that King George, seeing this half-naked man in his palace, says, what do you think of Western civilization? And Gandhi is said to have replied, I think it would be a good idea. Eventually, England agreed to release all power over India. Victory, happily ever after. We know it's not the way it worked. There was still great division. Gandhi really wanted to keep India at the time whole, which included the large Muslim population in the north, which is now Pakistan. Because he really had a deep belief that Muslims and Hindus and Christians and Jews and Buddhists could live together in peace. This is the way. But that was not allowed. And so the separation, the division was codified by the splitting of the country. He also was a great advocate against the caste system of Hinduism. And as I said, he was kind of born in the middle of the caste system, but the lowest of the low, the untouchables, were treated horribly in Indian society, given the most menial unsavory tasks and given no respect in society. And Gandhi saw their humanity and said, this has to stop. We must change this. And he met great resistance. You know, the people supported him, and they loved the idea of throwing off colonial rule, but to make the untouchables human, no, they didn't want that. He started a hunger strike just to protest and to draw attention to these schisms between Hindu and Muslim, between the castes. 10 days into that hunger strike, he was murdered by a high caste Hindu who did not want that part of the system overthrown. Karen and I were talking before the service. You know, we live in troubled times. And what I told her, and I don't mean to be dismissive, I said, and it was ever thus. Just different. There are different troubles that we're having now. But this idea that there was a golden past when it was all perfect, no, it's never been that way. I want to share with you that Gandhi knew he was so deeply disappointed that his movement did not turn out the way he wanted. And two things that he claimed to help him get through this deep disappointment, and I'll be using them if the Astros lose tonight. Humor. That story that was told about the throne room of King George, if it's true or not, that is the way he was. And he said this, if I didn't have a sense of humor, I would have killed myself long ago. And spirituality and practice. This is from his autobiography. When every hope is gone, when helpers fail and comforts flee, I find that help does arrive somehow from I know not where. Supplication, worship, prayer are no superstition. They are acts more real than the acts of eating, drinking, sitting, or walking. It is no exaggeration to say that they alone are real. All else is unreal. So did Jesus and Gandhi fail or succeed in living their values into helping humanity to heal? I think it depends upon you and me. Will we take the work that they brought us for equality and freedom? And I mean personal freedom as well as freedom for oppressed people. Or will we throw up our hands in despair? What is the change you wish to see in your world? Be it. Join me in prayer. In this moment, connecting to the infinite life of God that is everywhere, flowing, revealing, creating, becoming. And I am a part of that life. And everyone within the sound of my voice is a unique, irreplaceable, unrepeatable part of that life of God. Each of us uniquely called and gifted to bring who we are for the healing of the whole. And so at this moment, knowing this truth of unity and of power, I speak my word over this community, over these people, over myself, that we are willing to become the change we wish to see. That we are willing to see beyond the tragedy and the disappointment to the greater reality that something good is happening here. Something new wants to be born in the world and in us. And we trust the shape of our soul, the things that matter most to us. We listen and we live those values into our lives, into our family of truth and of power. I will not be dissuaded from this by the appearances. I know the truth. God is here. All is well. I am grateful, releasing this word, trusting that it is already being acted upon by that beautiful law, the great servant of mind. It is done, it is so, and so it is. Amen. Boy, if you don't know how wonderful you are, I wish you could stand here and see you. If no one has told you today they love you, I love you. God bless you.
Great is your love. So great is your love. Great is your love.
Amen, Siobhan. Yes.
I came up here to make some announcements. Today, pet food and supplies donations to the drive-through, so please bring and donate if you'd like to help support. Next Sunday is Celebration Sunday, but it is also Fall Back 1 Hour Sunday, so be sure and set your clocks back. Bring lawn chairs and a picnic for the after-service outdoor celebration. Service inside, outdoor, with lunch and chairs and blankets, as you heard Reverend Michael inviting you. Also, the bookstore is fully open, so you saw pictures of it, now go see it for yourself. It's over, of course, in the bookstore building, and also the ofrenda is up. Jaime de la Isla and Reverend Shirley have created that for us again this year. And there is artwork in the chapel, but we'll tell you more about that in a couple of coming weeks, but you're certainly welcome to come see it. So glad you're here.
Able as we close our service by singing our beloved peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be.
Together, let's speak the words of our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And we proclaim today, God is good.
It's a beautiful